Oké, daar gaan we. Hey guys, welcome to Info Abroad, and today we're going to be talking about a very cool topic, which wasn't as cool for the guy that I'm talking to at the beginning, but it was just a big learning curve, and I think it's something that a lot of other people can learn from this as well. In other sense, these are things that you cannot learn in books because books do not talk about emotions. They don't talk about the multiple options that you can go through or that you can choose when something goes bad. And I think this is a very good learning point for people basically to see what happens when you start your own business, what happens when you lose your business, and what can happen if you actually, basically the emotional roller coaster that people can go through, especially when they are young, intuitive, and they want to become the best at something. And today I have my own brother as a guest, actually. I think he is a great example. I heard part of the story and I was actually amazed about it because I think a lot of people don't know the truth about some of the businesses, especially when it comes to um, the things that can go bad, the things that can alter at any time. A political difference can occur. Now, for example, with the virus, how do people respond to these differences? And I think the best way we can do this is actually talk about our experiences. In this case, with my brother James. And let me introduce him on the screen right now. He's right there, right next to me. And James, you're on camera right now. And again, sorry, we're also doing this online because I think we need to keep our social distancing to a certain point. It is important that we stay safe. Um, so, introduce yourself and tell me, do you think the coronavirus is a hoax?
So let me first start with the first question. Um, I'm Lucien's brother, Douglas. uh, but is the coronavirus a hoax? It's a good question. I wasn't prepared for this, but the answer is I don't think it is. No.
At least we're on the same page there. That's the icebreaker because some people think it is not to be taken so serious, but I think you should keep yourself safe and you should be able to keep others safe as well. On the other hand, I thought we can also just jump directly into the topic itself. I mean, I know that you had a business a long time ago, approximately 10 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. You had something with your gaming industry, but why don't you talk about it yourself a little bit in the sense of what what pushed you to start your own business? I mean, was it the industry? Was it the environment? Did you want to create something by yourself, or
So going back, it's now maybe over 15 years that I started my own business. It wasn't pushed by nobody done myself. It's something I just wanted to do. And I just went with the flow. That's basically what it is. You have an idea, you go for it, and you try to work on that. And that's where it just started to pick up. Uh,
and did you have any experience
and then
when it
one,
comes to?
no, I had no experience. For me, it was just it was kind of a freestyle. So what it came down to is that it started kind of as a hobby, and let me tell you a bit of the background of it. So before I had a company, I was working in a phone shop, and one day, um, my manager he says, "We have a whole box of phones here. Is anybody interested in buying it?" Now the phones, you have to know, were broken. They came back from an insurance company because they had water damage or they had a screen damage. And my first question was, for how much? So he explained to me, he said, any phone for 10 euros. So, in my opinion, that was a great deal because I already figured out that if I would buy the phone off of him for 10 euros, selling a battery from that phone would be at least 10 euros. And this is back in 2000 where you didn't have a smartphone back then. You had the Samsung with what's that called? You could, the Nokias, the Ericssons. And basically what I did is that I bought the phones and I tried to repair them. And that gave me so much confidence and money that I was looking for something new to do. And one day I was sitting at home, I was looking at my PlayStation 2 back in the day, and I was like, maybe I can do something extra with this. And what I did then, I started to open it up just to look what's inside it, which was not really the best of ideas. And from that point, after opening up the PlayStation, it didn't work, to be honest. So I left it on my desk for a while, and then one day I discovered that you could buy mod chips to install into your PlayStation 2. Now, the mod chip will give you the benefit of being able to pay a copy disc of the original. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I remember back in those days, you had no AliExpress, or you had no companies where you could really order something very fast like you have right now. So I met this guy. I think he was from Hong Kong, or he was from one of these Asian countries, and I ordered a chip from him. To be honest, I don't even remember how I paid, because back in the day, PayPal and all these things were not really, mainstream. So after like 2-3 weeks, I got the chip in, and I remember I didn't have any welding machine. So I think I borrowed my dad's one, and just to keep the story short, I fucked it up. The PlayStation was ready for the bin, and that was basically it. So yeah, one day I had the courage to have a look into the issue and figure out from, hey, where did I go wrong? And I analyzed it, and after fixing the motherboard, which I don't even know how I did it, but I fixed it, I managed to get the chip to work, and that was the base of a new business. So that gave me motivation to look further into things and to develop it. But I had no entrepreneurial skills, nothing. I knew nothing about taxes. I knew nothing about management. I was just focused on the product and mainly focused on the money. And that kept me going.
So basically,
How one of the businesses
you just started a business on a hobby basis. So you thought, I see a potential here. If my PlayStation is broken, most likely other people's PlayStation is broken or can break.
Well, to get the business rolling, I figured out that that people were interested in the mod chip, and there was basically nobody who could get the chip to build it in. It's a skill like being a surgeon. You have to really have a good skill to get this chip built into the machine. Now these days this doesn't happen anymore, so it's history. But back in the day, that was something special. It was something special to have somebody to be able to build a chip in that would give you so much more options than just a normal PlayStation. And that became my skill. And I developed it more and more and more, and eventually we turned it into a brand and a franchise. And that was the bright side of the whole story.
I mean, yeah, the bright side, because the second question is, these mod chips are cool. I remember as well when they were a big trend. I mean, I didn't know this only from my brother. I also knew this from other people, especially at my university at my school back then. But the big question is, was it, in what zone was this? Was this in the illegal terms, or was this into the gray zone, or was this legal, or were there no restrictions?
Yeah, so for me, it was a gray zone, which made it very interesting because the law was not 100% clear in what was legal and illegal. And the chip could be used for also illegal activities. And one of them was to, let's say, download a game from the internet and then copy it. And with the right software on the chip, you would be able to play a backup game where you didn't pay for. So for a lot of people, that was a great opener to use.
I mean, I was thinking today about an example, but you said it was a gray zone, but it just reminds me a little bit of, what a bong is. You can put weed in there. And,
Yeah.
bongs, in Holland, I can understand them, but you can also buy them in Germany. but what's the purpose of a bong? It's not like you're going to put tobacco in there. So why are these things legal? And I was thinking, theoretically, a chip can do anything. It's all depend on how you program it. So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. So that was basically back in the day. It was my vision. You see, I had two options. I could have gone the illegal path, and I could have gone the gray path, and you can go. Well, let's say
yep.
it's the green path. So I chose to go the green path. And for what was the green path for us in this case, it was the speciality of building in the chip, and that's where our service stopped. So in other cases, you'd have, let's say, the competitions. They will be offering you backup games, or they will be offering you services on the illegal part. So the chips basically, or even blank from our
So
store.
you were just selling the let's say if
Yeah.
we compare it back to the weed part, you were just selling the bong in a shop. Nothing illegal. What you can do with it, you can turn it into a weapon if you
Yeah.
want. Uh, you can smoke weed in it. You can smoke tobacco in it. You can also just have it as a or yeah, a statue in your apartment, an ornament.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's the way I looked at it back
And
then.
what happened from there? Because I remember you had a shop, if not multiple shops. They were running quite well. I visited them when I was smaller. They were quite busy. I remember, a lot of children, adults. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, to go from a telephone shop and that's another background thing on me. I have no technical background. I studied marketing and management, and the only thing I knew is how to sell stuff, and that was my main focus. And the reason that the shops were successful is because the service we were offering really added value to people's lives. And on top of that, when you can add value continuously to people's life, they're going to come back. And we had a niche market which we totally dominated. We just dominated the whole market. If it was from the import from the chips to getting the chips developed the way we could have it legally, um, we were just dominant on this part.
and
Yeah,
I'm just curious about. I don't know if you remember it or if you paid attention to it, but I remember when I was at school, and I mentioned this once because when I went to school in Germany, you tell this about something about like, hey guys, you can put a chip in your Wii into your PlayStation to say, hey, awesome, if you can theoretically download free games. You can also modify your Wii or PlayStation to theoretically become better. And they were like, but this seems like a what criminals would do. And to a certain point, it's true, and you can agree with me. I know that downloading games is illegal. I don't do it. Even back then, when you introduced
yeah.
it to me, I don't understand how to download the games. For me, it was too complex. And then I'm thinking right now, like, do you actually remember what type of people would consume this product? Like, would you say that you could distinguish if it was like the upper class of society, the lower class of society, or do you really think it was a mix of everyone? And to me, that would be kind of interesting to know.
I would say it was a mix of everybody because, um, look, let's be honest about this. Although our chips were built in and we offered the service, I could say, yeah, it's up to the customer to do whatever he wants. In the back of your head, you know what
Mm-hmm.
90% of the people are going to do, and they're trying to go to save money on 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 entertainment, just to phrase it that way. So, if you have fathers coming in
Yep.
and you know what they want to do for their kids, because look, this is it. um, I don't know what a game costs these days. I think it's like 50, 60, 70
Yep.
euros to get a game. And if you can make an adjustment to a machine yourself, so this is after we have done the main work, then it's going to save people money and it's going to make kids happy. So, um, who was our mainstream? I would say it was everybody. You know, I have a friend. I'm going to tell you something. I have a friend. He's an internet cable guy. He installs
Hmm.
internet at people's homes. And so when we were doing these machines, and we had many machines to do, and it was not only for the chips, it was also for repair. He told me that he would come to people's homes, and then he'd see, let's say, one of these computers at the televisions, because that's where he has to install the modem. And he sometimes he'll get the machine and look at the bottom to see if there's one of our stickers on it for if we had opened up the machine. He says it's incredible to see after 10, 15 years still machines in people's living rooms, still using something we build in for them. And yeah, that's funny to
Yeah,
think
that
back
is. I
to
mean,
that.
that's a you know, okay. Away from the downloading side, I mean, at the end of the day, I can understand it. I would believe as well. You know, what you did was a gray zone. You just modified. Yeah.
No, but let me stop you here. Let me stop you here. You see, if you look at it from a perspective that it's only meant uh, for something that's illegal, let's say the downloading from movies. Yes, back in the day, that was the way to go. But if it wasn't for us, the industry now wouldn't have shaped to a way that people are more happier with it, like how it is. Like if you like, the, one of the reasons that we liked having the chip in the machine was because you could
Hmm.
install Homebrew, and today that's called an app. You know, like before apps, you'd have Homebrew, and to get the Homebrew in the machine, you needed to have some kind of access, which was only possible with the chip. And for a lot of people, that was also one of the options they liked. Yeah. So you see, because of what happened in the past, the future got formed differently. And as a result, my business is not there anymore because the big boys, how
Took
do I
it
say,
over.
they filled the gap. They took back the power, and that's okay. That's their
I mean,
good,
if I
right?
think about it, the way you say it, you know, if you had to install this system, Homebrew, it was basically like what you have right now with all these online services. You could download on the go. You don't have to go to a store. No, you didn't have to go to a store to download a game. You could just do it at home.
No, that's true. You could once the chip was installed, the chip could connect to a server, which could install. Yeah, we call it Homebrew, and these days it's called app, like I just said. And from there, you can just directly install anything you want, and you could use it as a streamer. You could use it as a um, many things. I'm surprised I still know so much about it.
I mean, that's true. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
agree with that as well. You know, the industry has changed so far. You know that I remember even what you offered as well. You used to modify cases, for example. You know, people still modify their cases, but the market has disappeared because consoles became very attractive by itself, and not a lot of people that I know actually want to have to modify their cases. Because I remember back then you were selling PSPs in red, in neon green, and everything like crazy colors. And when I showed these things off at school, they were like, "Wow, crazy! Where did you get it from?" And then it was really an interesting market, basically. To see what he was doing, but what what happened right afterwards? I mean, you had your good moments. I know you had your good moments. I've seen them. But the one part I never understood, and maybe I was just too young for it, and I think it's a nice way to just open up about it. Like, what happened afterwards? Like, what was the real kicker there, where everything just went downwards? Everything went down the slope, and you're like, oh shit, this is not going as planned. This is yeah.
You see, if I look back on the whole experience, um, it was a roller coaster. It was an up and it was a down. Before things went bad, I have to add that um, a company was brought to court, and because of that, we um, had a legal procedure against us for what we were doing.
Do you want to
And
say by who or
yeah, in that case, in that day, it was Nintendo. They were bringing us to court. I think it was for something like 5 million or 10 million compensation they needed to. Yeah, it's no joke.
I
It
was
was
maybe
like it
thinking
was
fifty
really.
thousand, but 5 million.
Uh, No, 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 no. It was in the millions. So what happened was is that, strangely enough, um, they didn't contact us directly and say that we were doing something wrong. Um, so we got approached by a law firm in Amsterdam, and they asked me from. They said, "Listen, Douglas." They say, "Can you tell us more about the products you're selling? I want to know more about it." And this guy, this lawyer, I always remember, he was also the lawyer back in the day for Kazaa, and he. Do you remember Kazaa? It was like a kind of
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
download program for music, and this lawyer was also representing that person or company, and he contacted me. He said, "Hey, listen, do you want to be part of this?" I said, "Well, I'm not in trouble at the moment, so I don't understand why I want to be part of it." So um, I made a deal with the lawyer company because that doesn't come cheap, um, to be part of the deal. But to make a long story short, we went to court, and from the 10 people that were in the same case as us, we were the only company that went out free, and that was a good thing. So we didn't really lose money on the whole
Hmm.
law case, but things after that they started to change. You know, this was 2008, 2009. Wasn't the best time in the economy, so things were crimping a little bit. And I
Yeah.
was, I think, 26, and in all the way looking at it, maybe I wasn't prepared for this big stuff. You know, you might have big dreams, but doesn't mean you're prepared to be able to deal with it mentally. And I had a lot of distractions. I had a lot of distractions. Uh, what sometimes just took my eyes off the ball.
Do you want to
And yeah,
elaborate on those distractions, or?
yeah, distractions like many things. Um, look, for me, the business was kind of everything. So uh, the people we hired to do the jobs, they were kind of a family. So anything you do, you're close, and that could be from smoking weed to going out partying after work, and then the next day having to open up, and you're creating a different kind of lifestyle, you know, where everything is involved. And eventually, when um, you do too many distraction things, then look, you can only focus on one thing at a time to do it good. And at one stage, things were, even with partying, they were going great. And we could do the whole thing, to be honest. It wasn't even a bad experience. The drugs, the women, the drink, the booze, everything was cool. You know, there was no sad story here. We were all drinking, driving big cars, you know, living their life. It was good. But eventually, things went sideways. And we had to move shop many times. And then we, I'm talking we because at one stage we had a partner who we opened up a shop in a different
Hmm.
city, and things began to partner back then. Yeah, it went sideways. So the deal was not as good as we thought it was. The relationship broke up, the partnership broke up, and yeah, eventually I was left with two shops, which I thought it was a good idea. But looking back, that wasn't the best idea to do too many things at once. But yeah, and then also the business started to change. We were seeing less customers, and uh, I was left with also more employers,
Hmm.
and then business began to sink. And yeah, from there things start to break down. You know, if the cash flow stops coming in, you need to make drastic changements, and eventually, when you run out of cash, that's just the moment things stop, and you have to fire people. It's disappointment. It's just emotionally sometimes hard
Especially if
to
it's
deal
your
with all
first
these
time,
things at
no?
once. And yeah, it's not about your first time, but like if you're so close to people, then you have to let them go. You know, tension can it can build up, and then yeah, it's some way you have to try to deal with it. I mean, like in the end of the day, we're all human, so maybe you can block a little bit, but eventually it's gonna take a bite out of you. And then if you think about it, that yeah, being an entrepreneur or a business owner, it's already a tough job if you want to focus on it and you want to do a good thing. And then
And how did you deal with
yeah,
the of course, okay, all of a sudden everything went bad, you lost money, or let's say you lost potential money from customers going away, and then you need to ask yourself, what is the next step? Like how did you deal with it? Like did it just go like one day to the other, okay, I'm all good and I'm doing my thing, or uh
no, eventually it went just slowly downwards. Like it went from you see, when you try to save a business when it's going down, you try to save on costs. So that was my first input. You know, like hey, if I try to
yep.
control what goes out, maybe we keep the business alive. Um, but that can only go to a certain extent because um, you can only crimp that much. And we went from a shop from an A location in a big city. We went from an A location to an industrial area where we tried to pick the business up, and that had directly consequences for our daily amount of people that were coming visiting the shop, because besides having all the services of tuning and repairs and um, the sales, we were all organizing tournaments where people would
Hmm.
come and we could have battles against each other, and that was just fun. But all of this all of a sudden disappeared, and
I mean,
yeah,
time always moves on.
people would disappear, and that was it. And yes, business doesn't always go the way you expect it. So, like you said, if it's your first time, what is there to expect? So, for me, everything was always a learn, the good and the bad. It was just a learn.
And how long did it take for you to get back onto your feet? Like, was there a period where you say like, man, I really fucked up, or was there a moment where I like
Well, I think the moment where I really realized my life was fucked up is when I got a bill from the
hmm.
tax asking me to pay like 500,000
That's a lot of
in
money.
estimated taxes, and I was like, wow, it's crazy. It was so surreal that you're like, hey, what just happened? And I honestly, I could say that everything I built up over those years, even though you build it up with passion, at the end of the day, there's no trophy what you get with, hey, good job this or good job that, bad job this. You know, when it's done, it's done, and you just have to know when to cut your ties. And in my case, that was a bit of an issue because back in the time, I also had a relationship and I was living together with this girl, and we were living together. And one day, I was living in my office. And from my office, I stayed living there for like 2 years until I threw in the towel and I said, okay, I'm done with it.
So for
I
you, it
gave
was
up.
really the step to take to just say, I'm out, I'm giving up.
I'm out. I'm out. I don't know what was me holding on to this business for so long. I think it's because I was unexperienced and I was thinking about the customers and I was thinking about my pride. And yeah, like I said, when you do business, you have to really focus on that, what you want to achieve. And when it doesn't work, you also, that's also part of the business to know, hey, now we have to stop and quit. And I didn't know when to quit.
Well, at
I
a certain
didn't.
time, you did. You know, I,
I didn't know what to do. Yes, I want, but it took 2 years. Because if I didn't keep the business, I would have basically been in a system where I was homeless, which I didn't want. I didn't want to be staying in one kind of a dorm every night or something. So I was like, I'm not going to sleep in my car. I'll just sleep in my office. It's always a better option. It was only that when I when I signed the company out that I got all the help to get me back on my feet, which was
I mean, that was a
a
good
great
point.
relief.
I
Yeah.
mean, I still remember it. By the way, in case you're wondering, his office wasn't like the thing you see on what's that show called? I can't think of it. What's the lawyer called? Better Call Saul. He's living in his boiler room. It wasn't.
Uh,
Yeah,
oh, you mean when he
it wasn't
lives in
like
the
this.
back
So
of the
don't picture it like
Neo
this,
Saloon?
But I can imagine some people thinking about it right now, But I'm just thinking about it.
No, it was. Look, to be honest, to be fair, it was pretty cool. It was like it was clean, it was warm, it was cozy, but it's not sexy. I mean, like if you go out or you go and party and then you meet a nice woman and you're like, hey, what's up? And then, let's go back to your place. Oh, that's a bit of a problem. Let's go back to my office and office. But strangely enough, women didn't even care. It was also interesting, and you know that's the good part. I mean, like you can fuck up in
I
life.
mean,
It's
that's
okay.
the main point of
That's what life is
why
about.
I wanted to talk to you, because I think a lot of people want to start businesses. Even I started my own business with content creation, but I've never realized. Maybe it's because I never put that much money into it. Maybe I had nothing. I have nothing on the table that I can lose because I don't hold a physical product that people can sue me for. Someone can destroy me for it, or even just making YouTube videos. It's nothing that someone can really hold me responsible for, unless I really do something that crazy. But the chance I do that is minimal. But if you have someone like you put a lot of money. You had physical assets. We're talking about offices, physical products. Whether it was the mod cases, the chips, your employees. I mean, I think letting go of that is a much harder job because you're not just letting go of a thought, you're letting go of physical items that you interact with every day for so many years.
Yeah, it's true. The thing that keeps you going, and I think that's like if you want to become an entrepreneur or business owner, however you name it. Well, there might be two different things.
Yeah.
A business owner doesn't have to be an entrepreneur, but um, you have to have a vision and you have to believe in it that you can make that vision happen. And that can be sometimes a downfall for many people because a vision is something that's going to happen in the future, and you don't know what happens in between. So I would say only because based on experience or on good guidance from other people or people who already went through the same phases, you can have better chances of succeeding. Because many businesses fail because it's just an idea or it's just a fantasy for, hey, let me open up my own hairdresser salon because I work for somebody and it looks so cool. But the moment you start your own business, even though you're not prepared, the system behind it is prepared to treat you as a business. And yeah, you got to learn that. And there's only one way of learning it. That's by experience or learning it in school or asking for the right help. That's also a good point. You have to ask the
But do
right
you
people for
think,
the right advice.
because now we have the coronavirus, we have this thing came unexpected. Did you ever expect that lawyer to phone you up that one day? Did you expect one day Nintendo to say, "Hey guys, what you're doing is wrong," or
Yeah, to answer this question directly, yes, I was so arrogant and ignorant at the same time that I could say yes. Because I was like in my head, I'm the guy who can solve this problem, which I already solved back then. And that's probably the reason that the court or the judge said, listen, and he literally said this in the courtroom, I have no idea why this guy is here. Why are we even talking to this guy? He has a product on the market which is totally legal. I have a problem with the people that are doing illegal things. And the illegal things was, for example, people that were building in a chip. And then while you were waiting to get the chip, one of the employees would come along with a whole map where you could choose which game you wanted. And by the time you left the shop, they'd have 100 games for you printed for extra
that's
50
nothing.
euros. And that was just madness. That was just madness. That's like buying somewhere a kilo of cocaine and then standing in the front of a supermarket and say, hey, do you want a line? 10 euros. I mean, that's also not going to happen because everybody knows if you do that, you're going to get busted because that's illegal. But if you're in a gray zone, you can choose to go 100% illegal or to see, hey, to which far can I go until it's legal? And then you have a thing of what's the right word for that? Like, is it the right thing to do? Was it the right thing to do what we were doing? That's kind of a battle what you're going to be dealing with.
If I hear the story now, it just sounds like, to me at least, everyone can have their own opinion at the end, but it just seems like what you were doing is, like I say, we're going back to that bong scenario. You can buy a bong. What you do with it is your decision. You can do something legal with it. You can do something illegal with it. But the moment someone,
yeah, you can make a vase out of it. You can put some water in it and put a rose into it, for example.
I just think, this is a great example to say, even though you're doing the right thing, it just takes the wrong market to interfere with your market to destroy your name. And this is something you cannot prepare for. You cannot decide what other businesses do. At least that's what I see right now here, with your example.
Yeah. You see, the thing is that a lot of good markets, the legal markets, they're already normally taken by other companies. So to find a niche or to find something that's really special, what stands out, you have to really if you ask me, get very lucky to find something and then also become successful at it. Because you have to understand that inside me, there was a bigger drive to succeed than anything, because I'm not technical. I have no idea how to get a chip, which is so small, and this is literally small. This is SMD size, to get it to work inside a computer. And then on top of that, the thing that we did different is that we guaranteed people that if we broke it, we'd give you a new machine for free. So that was the ultimate point of sale where people said, no, we're going to the shop because that's the shop. And yeah, that's just coming back on the chip side again.
Let me just ask, I'm just really curious, if we're talking about figures, and how old were you back then? You were 30. How much did you lose?
Oh, you see, you mean like in money? It's hard to say how much I lost. You see, money comes and money is going to go. That's just the way it is. But experience, that costs also money. So the experience I still have and the things I learned from doing this, they pay back later in life big time. I mean, I don't want to be arrogant again, but on some things I know, hey, you can't do that. So that's the price I paid back then. It's like somebody coming back to selling drugs or who's deeply in the crime. Once they're in jail, they come out and like, hey, okay, I know what I did wrong. And you have to correct yourself for life. And if you do that, there's freedom and there's light. And that's the way I look at it. Because, yeah, the glory days were amazing. And the beauty of it is that all the people who I worked with were still in contact. And when we look back at these days, it was like a movie. It's really, our biggest mistake was that we never filmed it. If this was on YouTube now, this was something. I mean, this was unreal how our day-to-day went. The stories that were telling us, the customers that were coming in, it was something. It was like a live show. And for the live show to happen, the good things have to happen, the bad things have to happen, and everybody was part of it. And that's what made it so special. So how much money I lost? Yeah, at least 6 figures. But the memories and the joy we gave people were at least 7 to 8. So the way I look at it, yeah, it was a cheap price we paid for all the experience we got and the amount we gave back to the community. People were happy. People were really happy with us.
The most important, that you at least go out with a happy feeling, that you just say, look, what I did was correct. But because of others, the business was a bit ruined. And, sorry. Sorry for that. But, yeah, that's amazing, to hear how at that age, because a lot of people cannot even imagine. I mean, I'll just say like this, there are a lot of young millionaires these days, don't get me wrong. But a lot of people don't understand how it also can go vice versa. You're young, your young 30s, late 20s, you start your business, you can afford what you want, you can have a good time, go party when you want. You know, you're living the Wolf of Wall Street life a little bit, and
Well, to be honest, to talk about the Wolf of Wall Street, when I saw that, I was like, hey, wow, that could have been my life. No, that's not even a joke. It's just like I didn't have the yacht and I didn't have all these big things and I didn't scam people for millions. But
Mhm.
when it came to the extremes, I mean, like it was all there. It was there, and it was. If you look back at it, it's like not everybody gets this experience or offered to them or makes these choices, and yeah, you have to be thankful for some things you get in
I mean,
life, and
that's actually where I want
which I
to
am.
come to the end. Like, you know, if you have anyone listening here at the moment, you know, let's say he's my age, or a little bit younger. I would even say maybe 20, early 20s. Let's go from there, a rough number. And he's like, let's start a business. And I have an idea.
Yeah,
You know, let's say I want to start a hoodie business and I want to sell hoodies all of a sudden. What would you tell to this person? Would you say, go for it? Because at the end of
yeah.
the day, let me continue the example. Like,
So
would you say, go for it? You know, you're going to put money into it, but the chance of something happening with your product might even be bigger because you're actually starting a business rather than thinking, oh no, there might be an issue. I might lose a few €1,000 because I ordered all these products, but they won't sell. Like, would you say, what would you recommend to such a person who wants to just start something and actually invest money into a business? It doesn't even have to be money, just time.
well, that's true. You don't always have to invest money into a business. Like, look at
Yep.
me. I was kind of broke. I was a student back when I was 18, 19 when I started doing this with the phones. And like I said, you have to have a vision which is bigger than just the fear of losing a few thousand Ks. What's a few thousand Ks in a lifetime? I know when you're 15, 16, a few thousand Ks is like, it's a lot of money. Why? Because the only way you earn money is probably by saving your birthday
Yep.
money or your communion money or your Christmas money. A lot, like, but once you start being in the bigger game, it's normal to have money because that's the only way we do a trade together. Like your focus should not be on the money. The money is just a reward of how good you're going to be um,
Yep.
performing as a business owner or as an entrepreneur. It's the way you sell the vision. And like I said, you have to add value. Without adding value, you're not going to get money because look, the only way you can get money is from people. The only
Yep.
thing on this planet that can give you money is people. So the
Yep.
more people you make happy, the more money they're going to give you. But my tip to a lot of people is that don't start off with a dream or a business plan, which looks good on paper, where you just convince your parents and your grandmother from, look, I can do this and I can sell apple juice and I can go stand on a tree because you know why? I solved the problem. Because that's the main thing. Like a lot of people, they see a problem and that's what they want to solve. And then all of a sudden they're an entrepreneur, which I would say, hey, look, it's a good basic. If you have to solve the problem, it's good because that's what you can get cash for. But what I hear a lot is that people then go to the bank and they try to sell it to the bank and they say, hey, listen, do you want to borrow me 25,000 euros? I'm a young kid and I got a great idea. And the bank is going to say, in a lot of cases, well, back in the day, okay, we can give you a little bit of money. And before you know it, you're already starting off with a debit. So that's one thing you shouldn't do if you're scared of money. So if you want to lose money, then lose your birthday money. Just go for it. And um, just go for it has also always been my motto. And that's why I wear Nike. Just do it because that's the only way you're going to learn. And you might fail with your first dream or with your second and with your third, but eventually you're going to get something and you're going to get it right. And you have to just keep going. It's like dating women. You're going to stop. When you're young, you're going to go to a woman, she's going to reject you. But eventually, over the years, she's going to go home with you. That's just the way business goes too.
It's
And that's another thing. You have to really understand why you want to start a business. Because if you ask me, 90% of people, they want to start a business because they want to tell other people, I have a business. I have a business. No, you're just signed in by
yeah.
whatever it's
Yeah.
called. Kamer voor Koophandel in Dutch. You just signed in by the business registration office. That's what you are. You're not a business yet. You're just a dreamer. And that's okay, because that's where everything starts, with a dream. But you have to work on it. And one of my tips is just keep it simple for yourself. Just keep it easy, because a business is just part of offering repetition every day. Repeating something you can offer every day. And that alone is already difficult enough for many people.
I mean, if you want to, to a certain point, let me just keep the question simple. Like, you went through your issues. You had to leave the business. It cost you, 6 figures. Let's. I don't know, but let's say even if it was $500,000, you're past that. Everything is fine now. Do you think that? Well, let me even go like here now. Like right now, are you doing fine with everything you learned? Like, do you think that was a really good learning point? Like, are you now really comfortable in your life?
If you asked me this 10 years ago, I would have said, dude, are you fucking crazy? Look around me. I live in an office. I have to wash my leg from a washing basin. I didn't even have a shower, So it's all about timing when you're going to ask this question. But now that I look back, I have a big smile on my face. I'm like, man, life can be funny sometimes, One day you're driving in a 7 Series, and the next day you just living in an office, wiping your ass out of the washing basin. I remember one day, I think that was your graduation or something, because when things go downhill, you're like, it can't even get worse. Might as well go out, get stoned, get high, or get drunk. And
that was a funny night.
It was a Friday evening, and then I remember you asked me to come the next day to visit you. But the night before, I went out, and I don't remember that much. The only thing I remember is that all of a sudden I'm laying in my couch and I hear, woo, woo, woo. I think, what's that? Are they police doing some kind of training or something outside? Woo, woo, woo. Please open up. I was like, fuck's sake, I have a fucking hangover. So I don't know what time it was, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And I remember I was getting up. I was going to the back of the store, because that was where I could wash myself. And I was naked. And all of a sudden I get this torch shining at me. And I was like, what the hell? It was a police officer. She was shining at me. She says, hey, can you come out? I said, well, let me put on some clothes, will you? She said, come out. So it turned out that there was a customer that was looking through the window that was trying to phone me to open up my shop. But because I was so passed out, I didn't hear my phone go off. So he decided to call the police because I wouldn't give him back his game computer. And I was like, dude, I didn't pick up my phone because I wasn't able to, and then, yeah, that was the whole story. I was just not able to pick up my phone. I was just unconscious basically for a few hours. And looking back to see the things you go through, that you have to go to such an extreme to find your peace, that can be tough for many people. And you can end up with bad habits and keep them too for a long time. Until you really make the right choices in life to stay away from certain people and certain addictions.
When the way you say it, that's maybe. Let me just think about it. What I want to say. Well, the short answer is, you would not recommend people. From what I hear, I know you know much better, but when you say like, what else do I have to lose? Do you think this attitude helps to a certain point? Because I've met a lot of people who at one point said, whatever. What can happen worse to me already, Don't you think this is... Yes.
Yeah. You need to stop saying that to yourself. You need to stop telling yourself, look, when you dig a hole,
there's where
you have to stop digging. That's just the truth. But it can be very difficult. Like, some people are in debit.
Yeah.
What do? They go out and take a loan, and then they spend it on a holiday. Yeah, instead of going out, maybe learning how to make for that money more money, to get yourself out of this shit, to learn how to really learn how the system works with finance. If you're able to go out and get a 1,000 euros loan and know how to trade it in some kind of a way and make 2,000 euros out of it, hey, good job to you. But if you go out and get a 1,000 euros loan even worse, I know people who are on social welfare, they got helped. You know, you can get to such a level in social welfare where social welfare says, you know what, you have a terrible story. We're going to help you out. We're going to really give you a place to live. And on top of that, we're going to give you 5,000 euros to get a new bed, a table, to get your life back together. And then I know people who once they got that 5,000 euros, they went out, they got high on coke. And they'd be back on Monday morning, and or the next week they'd be broke. They'd be broke. And then there's no community money anymore to help you. They're not going to say, oh, you know what? We understand you had a nice night. Here's another 5,000. It doesn't work that way. So, yeah, sometimes, look, if you have a crazy night, embrace it. But that's just that night. The next day, you have to really get your shit together and focus on really where you want to go. You have to have goals. And you have to
totally agree.
Go for it. So the story is saying from, you know, life is shit.
Yep.
Well, keep saying that to yourself, and it's going to be tomorrow's shit too. Why are you going to say, hey, my life is fucking amazing? And then tomorrow's going to be a more amazing day because tomorrow I'm going to be more better.
And I think this is a really good...
It's all about attitude.
This is why I think this topic is so important, because you see, when I went to university and I got my bachelor's, you know, I read many books because I had to for multiple exams, and you would always hear about how to not run a business. But you see, when you see these things, like what happened to my brother, it's out of your control. I mean, just think about it now. Now we have the coronavirus. How many businesses are going to lose money at the moment? How many hotels had to close? How many restaurants have to close? How many smaller businesses had to close? How many pubs in Ireland, for example? How many pubs in England? How many, you know, all these things I think are very important. And these are things you just can't prepare for. And no textbook is going to tell you, hey man, in case of a virus, please read chapter 5. It doesn't work like that. You really have to think about it, put your head together, and stay strong. And that is, if I hear your story, you know, you really need to put your head together and stay positive.
Yeah, that's it. You have to be mentally prepared for anything. You know, and at some ages, you're just not prepared. You're still a kid. Like for me, I would say I had a very long youth. Very long. Where normally people stop when they're 20, 21, and I gave it another 8 years. I kept partying every time. I loved it. But yeah, some things you just can't do, and that's it. You know, you know, one thing is also a waste in life if you take it too serious, and then you're 40, 45, and you're just miserable because you lost out on so many things you could have done. You know, I realize now that I'm nearly 40 that, yeah, your options become different. You know, you're not going to make the same choices in your 20s. But life goes on, and like you have a vision what you keep holding on to. But sometimes you have to say, well, you know what, fuck it. Let's make a new movie.
I mean, that's what I agree as well. Sometimes you really just have to
that's it.
Put the book down and say, look, I cannot read this anymore, and let's start a new book at all. An entire new product, an entire new business idea. No, even just going to university can be your new book. We're not even talking about just spending money. You know, from what I just understood and knowing the situation, you know, I think it's just important that you're able to locate your time effectively, locate your thoughts effectively, and not just make them thoughts, make them reality to a certain point. Take steps forward. You know, like I say, these are just things that you don't learn at university. And it's a real shame that, you know, you don't have people that always come and say, look, there are ups and downs. We always hear about the successful people. We always hear about, look what this guy achieved. Look how many billions he earns. But I'm going to be honest with you, not everyone is going to become that billionaire. You might be, but not everyone is going to be the next Jeff Bezos, you know?
No, but for example, look at Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the playboy from the 80s, 90s. He had his own plane. He was flying in. He was banging all these beautiful women, you know, back in the day. It was all working out for him. And he ended up losing everything. He ended up losing everything at one stage. And then look at him now. He got it all back. He learned from his mistakes. He corrected it. And another thing is that don't let other people talk you out of your idea. You know, when you tell your idea to somebody, they're going to say, hey, no, that's bullshit. Don't do it, man. You're going to lose. I've been told so many times, don't do it. don't do it. But the reason they're telling you don't do it is because they don't see the same thing what you see. So that's why you have to really believe on yourself. And one thing you have to also realize, where are your strengths? And the part where you're not good is you really have to get help from other people to back you up. It's really important to have that backup, because without that, it's really even going to become more
Yep.
difficult. I mean, like if you're not a hairdresser, Lucien,
Yep.
and you'd have to cut my hair, it's going to be pretty simple. But if you only have one way to cut hair, I could even do it for everybody. But it becomes more difficult when you have different type of customers, So just be good in what you're good at, and stay there. Like
He's
a
gonna jump.
basketball player, he's good at basketball. You know what I mean? He doesn't
He
want
just
to be
wants to dribble his
basketball. He doesn't
balls.
want to be the next Tiger Woods, or dribble his balls. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many topics you can go over with this whole philosophy about doing business and where it can go wrong and where it can go right. But just do it, have fun,
And I
stay
just want to say
real.
one more thing. I mean, you say
Don't
the
go
support
too
from other
big.
people. In my belief, I think it's more important to surround yourself with the right people. I think that is a much more important step than getting the support. Anyone could say, yeah, good job, good job. But if you have people that believe in your product, that believe in you, I think that is a little bit more uplifting, no? In your morale.
Yeah, the business shouldn't be about you as a person, unless you want to be, let's say, a superstar, or you
Yeah.
want to be a Paris Hilton, or you have people around you to promote Paris Hilton. You see, but like if you're going to start a car shop, but you don't even know how to repair an engine,
Yeah.
you need to get somebody who knows how to repair the engine, right? Yeah, and you're going to have many people who are going to want that job, and then from those people, you're going to
Yeah, of
select
course.
somebody who you think is best.
I
So
mean,
yeah, like you said, you have to have the right people
if I
around
have
you.
to summarize it, you have to turn into something negative, or let's say you have a negative experience. You need to be able to deal with it, aka work with it, and then you want to survive it, and then you want to start your next step. You need to learn from those mistakes. I think that is the most important part from your experience. That is something that, like I say, these.
I honestly think every business owner or entrepreneur, that's the way they think, because the ones that win
Yeah.
are continuously looking for ways to improve the business. And the only way you can improve business is based on customers' experience. If somebody says to you, hey man, your food tastes shit, now you have a few options. You can tell your customer, no, it tastes good, or you really could,
No, I
really test it to see if it's good or bad. And then change it. If you don't change it,
I
people are
totally
not going to
agree.
come
You
back.
just
There's a
need to be
reason why
able
they
to
will
deal
come
with
back and
all
why they
these
don't come
issues and
back.
try to turn them into something better. That's how most of the businesses work. I mean, that's how I would do it. That's
Yeah,
how I do it currently as well. No matter who I talk to, every person, you can treat them as a client. First,
yeah,
find out what their needs are, their issues, and then try to find a solution around it. And then whether that turns or you make that solution making him your friend, whether you're going to sell him a product, it doesn't really matter. But those are the things you need to work with. You need to be able to really get your mind together and say, how am I going to deal with certain people? And I think that is something that I learned a lot from you as well. And like I say, I went to a private university. I paid enough for these, for enough of these lecturers to tell me, you know. Yeah, luckily I
yeah.
did.
Did you pay?
Um, you know, it is just for me amazing that, like I say, we had amazing entrepreneurs coming in to have speeches, but they barely talk about the negatives. They always talk about, I turned one business into two, and from the next month I was a millionaire and I bought myself a Lamborghini. These are nice dreams. They can make people think a lot like, oh, so if I do this, I can have that. But that doesn't work for everyone. Everyone is unique on this planet. Everyone needs to take a unique approach to reaching what they need to reach. If it was that easy, everyone would be that rich. And it isn't like that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard work being an entrepreneur. It's really, you have to really give a lot. And the worst thing is that when you give a lot and it fails, that's
Yeah.
because you're so heavily emotionally invested and also maybe financially that you're like, I don't want to give up. And that's it. Like you're invested big time. So that's where you have to find also a balance in saying, okay, you know what, I can give so much of myself to this business, but when it reaches this point, I'm out. It's not going to work. And
No, I totally agree. I I can't say anything
yeah,
else. I mean, I learned from my mistakes as well. I didn't make as my mistakes were maybe not as big as yours, but you know, you can literally see that sometimes it's really good just to pull out and say, okay, it's done. I think that's really the way sometimes. So you just don't get emotionally bonded anymore with the situation and just move on. You're just holding yourself back from the entire future, the possibilities that you can hold. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
like I say, if you have anything to say, you know, to someone now sitting thinking, okay, I want to start my own business, what would you say? Go for it.
Yeah, what I already said, you should go for it. If you have the ideas, yeah, just do it.
Take a beating if you have
Just
to.
do it. Just go for it. And no, not really. I mean, just stay positive. You know, just don't let your ego grow too much. Do it because you have the right intentions for doing your business. Like I said, do it for your customers, create value, solve a problem. You know, sometimes you might even have a small idea. Like even if you look at repackaging or something, you know, it could be a small idea, but it keeps you busy every day. And if you can make a business out of that, it's amazing because you know, although it's hard work, it's also some kind of freedom that like you're your own boss. You know, you make the decisions, you hold the ropes, and there's many benefits to it too. You know how you spend your time because that's basically what you're doing. You could ask yourself, how am I going to spend my time? And if you can spend time doing things that you like the most, well, that's a great investment. How many people cannot choose what they want to do every day? They can only do what they learned in school because that's what they're good at, and then they have to go and do their 9 to 8 job and a 9 to 5 job, and that's it, and that's the restriction they have. But when you have your own business, yes, the rewards are higher, and there's a lot of benefits to it. But one of the benefits I would say is the freedom that you also get with it to do things your way,
I mean, I
and
cannot
that's
say
why I would
anything
say do
else. You
it,
know, at the
go
end of
for
the
it.
day, you're the person with the experience. There are many people who want to start their own businesses. I've talked to many people who wanted to start their own business. They never took the step forward. They had fear. They had, you know, anxiety to say, how am I going to move forward? But
There's one thing I do have to add to it. I mean, like just because you started because you have an idea, you do have to have the character to be able to start a business. It's not meant for everybody, and you have to have a few skills. Really, you also have to have skills, and you know, a lot of people they miss, for example, the skill of able to sell something. They don't know how to close a deal. You know, and this is very important because without closing deals, you're not going to make money. Your business is going to run out of cash very fast unless you have a rich
yeah,
daddy or you inherited money. You have to have skills also, you know. So it's not like, hey, let's start something, and you know, you have to have some kind of base. And for me, I have a base in being able to sell stuff. I've been only selling stuff at the age of 7 or 8, where I was selling Christmas cards to neighbors, you know, just
I mean,
to
that's the most
get a
important.
few
But,
bucks.
you know, for the people who are
It worked.
confused, I can only say this. Or maybe you can answer it yourself. Are you currently successful with what you're doing? You see, and we don't have to go into details now because that's a
Yes,
completely
I
other
am.
topic. But the goal here is just, like I say, you don't find these things in textbooks. You can only learn from them from hearing sometimes the worst stories. And you need to be able to just pick yourself up. And this is a very good example. At least my brother is a really good example. You know, I didn't know about these issues until actually just recently. You know, we talked about it. And I thought, stop, let's not talk about it. And let's just maybe introduce this to many more people because I cannot imagine I'm the only one with this interest of thinking, how do I start a business? How do I move forward? What are the risks that I need to analyze? What are the potential issues that can come out of nowhere? For example, now the coronavirus, no one knew that was going to come. It wasn't registered in a diary, not in your Outlook calendar. or for example, you with the lawyer, even though, like you say, it was a ticking bomb, but as you hear it yourself, it was other people that made that bomb explode, and that's.
Let's just stop you here. You like I said, you have to take control of all your actions.
I'm not blaming
You can
them.
always
What I'm
say
saying
it
is,
was other people. Or it was the
what you were
crime,
doing was
it's
the gray
something-
zone. There was nothing on black and white that says what you're doing is wrong. But it was the abuse of other people that made the law change over time, and it affected you, basically. That's what I'm trying to say.
No. You see, I just want to correct you here. The law never changed.
Okay.
The law was always the same. I was just applying it differently, and that made a big difference. And like I gave the example earlier on, if you manage to get somewhere a kilo of cocaine and you're standing in front of a supermarket, you go say, hey, do you want a bag of this for 50 euros? It's going to take 10, 15 minutes. You're going to have cops all around you who are going to arrest you. So when you're out in the open, giving away 100 illegal CDs to people and saying, here you go, yeah, that's looking for trouble. That's just not the way to do business. And that should never be your goal of doing business. You should tell yourself, I want to become a criminal. If that's your intention, then say, listen, I want to be a criminal that runs an illegal crime organization or something like that, because that's basically what it is. And I didn't want to be in something dodgy. I wanted to wake up in the morning and I wanted to have my neighbors look at me and say, hey, that's that guy. He's really good in what he does. And we were good in what we did. And yes, we were pushing our limits a lot. It's like, it's like this kid who has, let's say, a moped, where the law says you can go 45 kilometers an hour, but if I tweak a few things in it, I can go 60. Man, if you go 60, it's going to be a better ride. Of course it is. But when the policeman is behind you, he's going to say, hey, how about you pay a fine now for being a cool guy, And then you just have to pay the fine, and that's it. And I just wanted to eventually move away from the gray, making it more green.
The industry took
over. Eventually, the business does. That just happens. Sometimes those business, they just suck up, and the industry took back the power. And great job to Nintendo and PlayStation and Netflix and all these companies that they offer the service that they are. One day I was the man, and now they're the man, and that's just it. And maybe in the future, I might come with an idea to say, hey, I found a new gap in the market, and I have the basic now how to start companies. And
I just want to go back to the point. I just think it's really cool, to listen to it, because back then you didn't have the option to download games online. You didn't have the option to watch movies online. But back then, with his product, you were, whether it was illegal or not, you were basically the first one able to just sit at home, download a game from a certain server, and apply it on your PS2. I mean, just think about it. That's the common factor right now. How many games do you don't buy games anymore? I mean, that's slowly dying off. Most of the hard copies don't even have discs anymore inside of them. Now they just have a code. You put the code on the PlayStation Network and you download directly from there. I mean, I think it's kind of impressive, that it was a really good start. And I will agree that PlayStation or anyone at the moment, they just took over the market much cleaner. They flooded out all the issues. I mean, the chance of you illegally putting something on a PlayStation 4 right now, I don't know, do they exist? I don't think so. I've never heard of anyone modding a PS4.
True, but that's also because one of the biggest modders from all times doesn't exist anymore. That was us. That was us. Look, first of all, ask a gamer to open up the computer. They're going to say, "Oh man, dude, I'm not gonna open up my game computer. I won't be able to play games." So that was problem number one. So that's why we already stepped in as a company and said, hey, listen, we understand what you're going through. We're going to guarantee you'll have it back within an hour. You for real, dude? 1 hour, you'll have it back. So like I said, like the bigger companies, they have more power, but we were small. We were flexible. We could really serve our customers perfectly. Your lens was broken, bring it in. It's done within an hour. Bam. It was done. People were happy. Your controller was broken, bring it in. We can fix it. We had services that the bigger companies, they might have better quality, but they didn't have that flexibility as we have. So, even though they have the power back, like if I would have to make a choice back then, I should have aimed for from going from PlayStation, going to Apple, where you would repair iMacs or you repair iPhones. I mean, like after we disappeared,
Yeah.
I just mentally and just didn't have the energy to start all over again. It was just too much. I was done. I was really. I just didn't want it anymore. But if I look around me, the business that really exceeded were
And even they are ripping you off,
repairs or tablet repairs. They're still in business,
I know, but
yeah, but they're still offering you a service. I mean, like they might charge you for 100 for some kind of Alibaba screen from China where you touch it and then all of a sudden a dead pixel and they say, "Oh, so sorry," That's the way it goes. Yeah, but look at the beauty of it all. Everybody's trying their best, and that's how I look at it. We're not all Apple level
just think about
or
it, though.
Microsoft level, but people still try, and that's also important. And they give you a chance. I got a chance, and I can go into details. I can tell stories that like your ears.
I mean, if
really
people
turn
want
red
a
from,
round two, we can always ask them for it in the comments. We can always just talk and discuss them.
Yeah, we're just going to keep Yeah, sure. If you want to go into details, we can always go into details. But it's just going to be a story of experience what I'm going to tell, and I hope people. I hope that people, if they listen to this, that they're like, okay, they learn from it. Even though, for my way of talking, it's normal these choices I make these days. But for somebody who's listened to this material new, it can be really jungle sometimes. And yeah.
I think coaching.
Maybe I should start a new
like I
business.
say, that's a little bit the point of this podcast. I mean, I'm going to do multiple more, but I want to just tell people, like you can learn a lot from people and their experiences, and that's my entire end goal. So I think, look how someone here, for example, loses now their business, and everything went, like you already said, shit, and now we're at the stage where you're using an iMac 5K MacBook, it came back again, and you're doing good for yourself, I would say. These are things that, I can only say that it's good, and I know how you are with right now, all happy, good relationships with everyone. I mean, I don't know what else I can add to it. All I know is that I think there's a lot to learn from as stupid as it might sound, from other people's mistakes, but I don't think they're mistakes. I think they're opportunities for everyone to just listen to them. And I think that's the key of this. That's
a good point. That's a good point, because you see, it's good to learn from other people's mistakes. And I mean, like at a young age, you laugh at people because they made a mistake, but there's a key to it. Like they went left while they should have gone right. But the thing is that at the time they believed that left was the best option. People are never going to make the choice and say, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Left is the right option, right is the wrong option. Let's go to the wrong option. It doesn't go that way. You always think that you're making the right choices, unless you want to go into the criminality, because you should know that that's the wrong path. But that's it. And maybe if I look back, I was too young. I was too ambitious. I wanted too much. And I just didn't know enough.
Hey, look, as long as you had the chance to start fresh again, I think that's also very important to know that, look, guys, even though you fall, there'll always be a chance for you to grow up. And if you think right, and also grow up to say, even if you fall, there will be a pillow at the end of the road or at the end of the hole. Not always, but it depends how you play your cards. Let me say it like that. If you need help and you pull on the bell early enough, there is a chance for someone to support you, someone or something. There's always an institution, whether it is a person or the government, or of course it depends where you're located, and that you're fortunate enough for the government to help you. But if you look for the right place, the right bell, and you ring it on time and pull it, I think there's also an opportunity for you just to grow up and learn from it and fall softly a little bit. But you have to clean up everything that you did wrong before you can take the next step as well. These are things you just have to do step by step, but don't fall and drop dead and give up. I think that's yeah,
maybe maybe the next step should be just take a break for a while. That should be a good thing for a lot of people. When things just go bad,
And this doesn't mean to
you
sniff
need things to
cocaine.
calm down, give your head a moment of
No, it
peace,
doesn't mean to
and then
take a
make
break and
decision. Because
sniff cocaine or something. We're
sorry, I
talking
didn't hear
about
you.
literally look at a different way.
Oh yeah, well, like if you like sniffing cocaine
Yeah.
or taking tablets or going out partying or banging hookers,
But those are
that's your
distractions
thing.
from the real break that you need.
Well, good luck with that entertainment, or you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I meant with break is that you should just give your head some peace, think over what really happened, because sometimes, like I said, you go through roller coasters and you're emotional, and sometimes, not even sometimes, but a lot of people, they're going to make decisions based on how they feel, and they stop thinking rational, and that's when the real shit begins, when they lose it. And yeah, I can say honestly, there's been times that I really lost
But you came back to it.
myself, and I'm lost reality.
Yeah. So it's just possible
I
for
came
everyone to
back
come
to it. I
back.
was
Just
lucky
put
to
your
come
mind
back.
together.
Yeah, I came back. Yeah, it's always possible to
Yeah.
come back, get your head straight, clean up your mess. Be happy that, look, in the end of the day, business is just a vision. There's more important things than making some money or making people happy. Start with yourself. Be happy with yourself. Be happy what you have around you. And I know when you have not so much money, that can be difficult. But then
Or
do something
not
about
even
the
to make money,
problem and
just to
learn
find your
about how to make
happiness.
money. You know what I mean? Yeah, but for a lot of people, like, they struggle with their month to month, and their first reaction will be, yeah, my problem is money. I don't have enough money, or I don't have this,
Yeah.
I don't have that. While you should be looking at, hey, what do I have and how can I develop more? And what you don't understand, you just have to train yourself.
Same
It's
as a
like walking.
bicycle.
If you
Don't
don't
know
know
how
how
to
to walk,
bike?
then
Bike it.
just learn it.
Fall down a few times if you have to, but get right back up and keep trying.
Yeah. And another thing, and if you don't know what you're doing,
Unrational choices. Yeah.
then it's sometimes just better not to do anything. Like, instead of,
Yeah.
like, if you don't know what you're doing and you're only going to make things worse, better do nothing until you really are sure what to do. Don't hang there too long. By the way, don't become lazy or just a dreamer. But you know what I mean. When things go sideways, you sometimes just really have to lay low.
I totally agree.
Let things cool down and make a decision.
Just in case you're wondering, we've been talking already for 1 hour and 17 minutes. Time went quick now. I'm not going to give you my address.
I'll send you a bill.
But yeah, I think that's all that I wanted to discuss. I mean, like I say, I think there's a lot to learn from. If you have any questions, just pop them in the comments below, because at the end of the day, a lot of people have so many questions that, even people ask me, like, how did you get all of a sudden Mercedes-Benz as your client? How did you all of a sudden fly drones to such an extent? What?
But tell me one thing. How did you start the drones? Maybe you can just tell everybody how you started the drone business.
Fun fact,
Let's tell
little family
everybody how
thing.
amazing brother you
No,
have.
but I always wanted to have a drone. I don't even know how old I was. That was a long time ago, though. It was the time before drones were trending. I mean, we were talking about 2000 what? 15? No, even earlier, 2013 maybe, 12.
Yeah.
It was really 8 years ago. Drones were nothing back then, but I had this vision that I was like,
yeah,
man, how does the sky look from above? And I'll just continue the story. And then I saw the vision a little bit, like, damn, how does the sky look from the top? I always enjoyed flying, when I went to holidays, to see the clouds from above, to see a country from above, like, wow. But then I was even thinking smaller. I was like, how does my house look from above? And, I told this to my brother, and I was like, man, I want to have a drone with a camera. And back then, drones were utter crap. I mean, I had the Sima X5, I think it was called, with like a 0.3 megapixels camera, according to the specs, full HD, but that was rubbish. It was like 240p if you're lucky, aka potato camera. And
but it got you going. That's what the whole thing is all about. You see, that's the problem with people who start a business. They look at, maybe they put the bar too high for themselves. They want to become the next Apple. They want to become
Exactly.
the next this. Man, just become the next better version of yourself. That's what I'm saying. Like back in the day, I remember you making these YouTube videos, and I was like, hey, this dude really likes editing and he likes doing this. And then because I was selling these drones, I was like, hey, well, how about I give you one for your birthday to see how it can develop?
If you think
and
about
eventually,
it,
a few
no?
years later, you're a professional photographer for Mercedes. And yeah, but if you look back, it's just crazy. And it's the same, like I said, hey, I was working in a phone shop. I was repairing phones, which I didn't even know how to repair, and selling them and then making money. And eventually it developed into a business. And look at you now. You're doing podcasts, you're doing your photo editing.
No, but I mean, I cannot
You lost
summarize
weight.
the entire thing here. You really just put yourself in perspective. I started with a 50 euro drone, and this 50 euro drone, back then, I mean, now they cost nothing, but back then it was quite expensive for a
Yeah.
drone, especially your first one. I learned how to fly it, I learned how to crash it, I learned how to repair it, I learned how to enjoy it. And I think the key word here is enjoy. And from there, things just, the bigger domino stone will fall, one after the other. And one moment before you know it, you're spending, 4 digits on a drone before you even know it. And I'm even thinking, going from a plastic drone, my God, what it was just total crap. But I don't even have it anymore. I think I crashed it so hard, it broke. But I went from there to a little bit more expensive one, to a more expensive one, until I knew I was doing. I didn't take big leaps of faith to say, I'm just going to fly something expensive because I want to. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. And that's how I grew, for example. It was a really fun run. I mean, that's how I learned as well how to do business. Take baby steps, a little step.
Yeah. And baby step. And that's exactly what I was saying today. Like when you're an entrepreneur, you want to start a business, you're continuously trying to improve something. And like your way of improving was going from let's say a shitty birthday
Yeah.
present to a 4-digit drone now, what makes professional videos. And that's the way you improved it, by
Yeah.
investing in the product. But you also invested in yourself, in your own network. And that just come overnight. There was a lot of days in between where you're
And they saw
focusing
it.
on things, where you're working on your vision, and eventually you sold it to somebody. And I would say, to have Mercedes as a customer, or other customers. I mean, like, I've seen your work. It's professional. I mean, like, it's amazing to go from your backyard to becoming an AMG photographer
It,
and going to Finland and doing all this stuff. I mean, like, yeah, like we say, if you want to start a business, you're going to choose somebody who's going to be around you, who's going to be valuable.
Believe in
Well, they
yourself.
choose you because they thought you
I
were
think that's a nice
valuable.
way
So
to just finish
it's a good
the
thing,
entire podcast. Actually, it's just the words "believe in yourself," and that doesn't mean to keep doing what you're doing because it's pointless, but to keep doing because you believe in it. And even if it just means coming down for a second and rethink or reevaluate what you're doing, and just to believe in yourself, because at the end of the day, you need to walk this planet. You need to make the most of it, and you need to enjoy it. And no one else can do it better than yourself. No one is going to guide you. No one is going to hold your hand to go to the next client. It has to be yourself. So that's how I think. Yeah, that's how I would finalize this. Actually, I mean, if you could summarize it in a sentence.
No, I've nothing to add to the whole thing. I mean, like, it was a good 1.5 hour podcast. My first one. I've never done a podcast before. But it's nice to be openly and just tell people your experience, and
I mean, that's one. That's one.
don't be
Yeah.
ashamed for your choices. Let's go for it. Stay real, believe in yourself, and just be good also to other people.
It's
You
not
don't
about
have
being
to become
better.
a dick or an asshole. It's not about that. I mean, like, well, it's nice to have a bit of competition or so, but like I said, don't become an asshole. Don't become too
Yeah.
arrogant. Don't just think it's all about your own ego. I mean, like, don't get that in the way. Focus on what you're good at, and become better at it, and be happy that you have the
Yes.
energy to do so, and that you're healthy and good people surrounding you to
No,
make your dreams
I
come
do the
true.
same thing right now,
That's just it. I
and
believe in this shit.
That's exactly.
And
I mean, that's how I would finish the podcast actually right now. Really just like I say, believe in yourself. Like he says, just make sure what you do, just do it correctly to a certain point. And if you have to take baby steps and learn from your mistakes, and maybe one thing more to add, maybe sometimes it's good to talk publicly about the problems, because there might be one person listening that can actually assist you with saying, oh, I've been through the same. Let me help you with that. Maybe I can educate you with something else without investing 1 million, without investing you 1,000 because you're young. I think that is the key to pushing yourself, your business, whatever you want to achieve in life. In that fact, actually, it can be anything. Even if you just want to start your first book, start with the first letter in your page and then slowly continue on. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. I mean, 1.5 hours was a really good talk, I must say. First podcast, I think it's very interesting as well. It's a little bit deeper. It's something really personal, and I think and I hope a lot of people can actually learn from the words, that came from my brother, that came from the experience, that came from mistakes, that came from a growing person. And I think that is very important. If you have anything else to say to it, then yeah. Yeah, I think it.
we can have the same conversation maybe in 5 years, so you can see how I turned out. What do you think? No, that's a good idea.
I think generally you should always set a milestone for yourself as well. Just to add it up before I close this podcast off, but I think you need to really add milestones to what you do in life, just to re-evaluate what you did, and actually see, where am I actually? Take the step back and just say, what the? Yeah. I know you love it.
We could have another podcast. We can talk about cryptos, for example.
Yeah, we can do that.
What do you think? We can have another podcast
yeah, for sure. I mean, for
cryptos,
people who are interested in cryptos,
yeah.
I think it could be a really good topic as well. It's not, and don't worry, it's not going to be trying to enforce you how to invest into it, but it could be an interesting topic to see what they are and how they work.
Yeah, because look, be honest, we also don't know what we're doing sometimes, and yeah, we can experience our mistakes.
Everyone makes mistakes. I mean, look at the people who made a mistake buying Bitcoin. What was it, 10 years ago, and look at them now living in their mansion. You have to think about it like that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, but there's also a lot of people who forget they bought Bitcoin and then they lost their Bitcoin keys and then they're locked up
people learn from it,
somewhere on the
That's
Bitcoin network and they have no access to it.
You have to have value to everything in life.
That must hurt.
But okay. Yeah, it has been too long and I think people are going to be sleeping right now. So I'm going to close down the podcast right now. I want to thank everyone for watching. Like I say, if you have any questions, regarding the topic, just put them in the comments below. Maybe we'll go back into them into the next podcast and go a little bit deeper into the topic. Maybe you're someone who's very shy. Maybe you're someone who really wants to look into a potential outbreak for yourself. You want to become the next better you. Talk about these things, because talking about these things, other people will listen to them. And like I say, other people might have great feedback. And I think that is something you can learn greatly from. I'm just going to say it from my experience. It helped me a lot, whether I was at university, whether it was talking to people without degrees. It all helped me. And thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Info abroad.